So, Ted, we have a new game starting soon. Do you have your character ready?
Absolutely. I'm playing the ultimate frog wrestler.
You are playing a character that's going to wrestle frogs.
No, nothing like that. He's the frog wrestler. He's a grung, and his whole mission is to make his enemies croak uncle.
Ted, enough with the puns already. Let's just do the tiniest wrestler character build for 5e D&D. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Steve, and as usual, I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
If you're looking for more D&D videos, then hop on over to that subscribe button.
And if it's more Nerdarchy vids you want in your YouTube feed, that notification bell is one little jump away.
So we're going to do another one of our character build guides, and as always, we will put a link in the description so that you can actually check out the character build guide over on the DM's Guild, and you can kind of see the level by level progression. But not only that, we're also going to have a copy of the character sheet from D&D Beyond, the sponsor of this video. It makes putting these videos together so much easier, creating our content, building our encounters, just all things D&D in one place is super sweet.
D&D Beyond is a great resource, whether you're using it for the videos, the articles, the free content or the SRD. You got to check out D&D Beyond. We use it for all of our campaigns. And even rolling dice right there on the character sheets is super sweet.
So links in the description. All right, so we kind of already hinted at what our race is going to be.
Yeah, so we're looking at Grung, and if you happen to be using Grung in your games, worth noting is we have 2 new feats for Grung that you can check out over on our website, nerdarchy.com.
So now we have to look at, we're trying to build this wrestling character, and when we were discussing it, we're like, is this going to be like a Roman Greco wrestler? Is this going to be like professional wrestling in the US here? How do we want to do this? And you know what? We're ridiculous and can't help ourselves. So before we say which direction we just went, which I kind of gave away, let's look at the backgrounds that we could possibly choose.
So if you're looking serious direction and getting athletics right at your background, you can go with athlete, you can go with marine, you can go with soldier. All of these are going to work. But if you're looking to go in the, more performer-esque style, the, ridiculous and silly, you could totally go with entertainer, giving you access to performance, giving you access to that disguise kit. You can have so much fun with something like that.
Well, maybe not so much disguising, but costuming is very important. And I feel like, disguise kit is probably the closest thing we have for that. And, when you're starting out wrestling, you don't have all the production. You don't have all the staffers to help you. So you got to put your own costume on. You got to do your own makeup and more paint. So it's going to be very helpful.
But it's got to be a disguise kit because, you can't just be walking around, as yourself all the time. You got to put on the persona. That's a disguise, right? Isn't that how that works?
You might be right there. So with that, we're going to look at a couple of different classes that can help us to be good at wrestling. And that's the other thing, too. Not only do we want to be able to entertain you as a wrestler, we still want to be good at wrestling, right? So we got a handful of classes to look at. Barbarian and Bard come to mind as a couple.
We got Fighter, we got Paladin, we got Rogue.
Sorcerer and Wizard as well, believe it or not.
So I know some of these things might sound weird, when you look at, who's going to make the best wrestler and these full casters, they seem odd. But trust us, we got a good plan, and this is hysterical and amazing.
All right, so let's start with our stats. Our physical stats are going to be 15 strength, 10 dex, and a 13 con.
So this character is not super mental, so we're looking at an 8 intelligence, a 12 wisdom, and a 14 charisma.
Which, our dex and con will come up to a 12 and a 14. So physically, we're pretty powerful for our little grung. We already know that's the race. So the background we actually decided to go with is entertainer. We're going to get acrobatics. We're going to get performance. We're going to get that disguise kit that we mentioned earlier. And we're also going to be able to play the bagpipes. I don't know. Our wrestler may or may not wear a kilt. We haven't decided yet.
We looked through the musical instruments that you would get as an entertainer, and we just decided to go with something silly. So I don't know how many small versions of bagpipes there are in the fantasy realms, but this character would totally have one specially made. If not, So for our first class, we're going to double down on this entertainer background, and we are going to go with Bard. That's going to give us access to 3 skills, and we're going to have to jump in and get the things that are going to be necessary to, to be that wrestler. So we're going to take athletics, we're going to take intimidation, and so that we know how to be able to properly talk smack upon our enemies, we're going to take insight.
And also, so one of the things that's going to be tough for us as a grappler, as a wrestler, and being small is a lot of creatures are going to be too big for us to actually wrestle. But if you look at the climb onto a bigger creature rules in the DMG, we think we're going to be able to implement them a lot. And because we have poison skin and we can poison our weapons as a grung, and we have fantastic jumping abilities, we feel like we're going to be able to get that off a lot. So even if they're too big, we might just be the grung on their back. So as we mentioned, we're going to start off first level. We're going to get Bard. From Bard, we're going to get spellcasting. We're going to get Bardic inspiration. So we're going to inspire our allies. We feel like vicious mockery and minor illusions are going to be very important for us because, you want to talk smack and really hurt your enemy's feelings with that vicious mockery. And minor illusion will give us the ability to enter the combat with our own theme music playing.
You can totally drop sound effects, you can totally drop visuals, not at the same time, but you can definitely have a lot of fun. And this character is going to be the showman wrestler. They've got the ability to, jump to the occasion and make sure that it all goes down the way they want it.
So not only are we taking our first level in Bard, we're going to take our next 3 levels in Bards. We're going to get a bunch of stuff that are really useful and good, but I'm just going to mention the things we care about. Right? When we get to 3rd level, we get to pick our college. We're going to take lore because our smack talk will get to the next level with cutting words. We will be able to disrupt people's actions and give them a penalty. So when we're trying to wrestle and grapple them, they might get a good roll, but we can add a negative to that roll with it. We're also going to be able to get our expertise as a bard, super useful. We're going to take athletics and performance. And we're going to get a handful of skills as well.
So the expertise, we're going to take athletics and performance. This is going to give us, the most bang for the buck while we're wrestling. And then, as Dave says, we're going to get, several more skills. So we're going to take deception. We've got to totally be able to lie our tiny little frog butts off. But we're also going to get sleight of hand so that, we could totally palm the knife that we're going to poison. And persuasion so that, they don't know whether we're lying or telling the truth.
Yeah, you want to be able to sneak those weapons in. Maybe we're a dirty wrestler, a set of brass knuckles, hit them while the ref's not looking, then we slip them back into our trousers again with our kilt with our deception. So these are going to be really important. We're also going to look at a spell at this point too that's going to be very useful. Enhance ability. We can use that to get bull strength and get advantage on our strength checks and saving throws. We don't really care about the saving throws as much. But those strength checks are really important to us. So at this point, we have expertise in athletics. We're getting advantage, and we can also give them a penalty.
When we get to 4th level in Bard, we're going to take Tavern Brawler. So even if we don't have a weapon, we've got the ability to still, smack them for a D4. And again, that poisonous skin. So when you punch somebody, they're gonna, they're gonna have to make that save versus your grung poison.
Yeah, and Tavern Brawler's a half feat, so we're gonna take that odd stat and strength and make it a 16. We're also, now if we use an unarmed strike or a improvised weapon, as a bonus action we can start a grapple as well. So we're wrestling, right? So from Bard, we're gonna go with another class. We're gonna take 4 levels of it, and we're gonna dive into Paladin.
I know what you're thinking. Wait a second, Paladins, wrestling. Where is this coming from? But, as we're sitting here trying to come up with this character, there's definitely some fun things. And if we look to the lovely book, Mythic Odysseys of Theros, the Paladin subclass of Glory is pretty darn awesome. So we are going to jump, as Dave says, 4 levels, mostly to grab that Oath of Glory and get that advantage with our channel divinity for the Peerless Athlete.
Now, at 2nd level in Paladin, you get a fighting style. We're going to take defense just because the other ones didn't really appeal to us and aren't going to be useful. I mean, great weapon fighter. Maybe if we could two-hand a chair. I don't know if our DM is going to be generous with that. Technically, the unarmed strikes, sometimes Jeremy Crawford says you can use them with Smite. Sometimes he says you can't. So depending on your DM, you'll have to see. Technically it works with anything that's a melee weapon attack, but melee weapon attack doesn't actually refer to a type of weapon. It refers to the type of attack you're using. Even monsters that use claws and fangs, it says the same exact thing. And I've seen Jeremy Crawford say on this question 2 different rulings that are the opposite. So it's going to be up to your table to figure out. When we get that Oath of Glory, what we're really looking at is a Channel Divinity, Peerless Athlete, and Inspiring Smite. Really good. Peerless Athlete is going to basically allow us to get advantage on those strength checks again if we're not using enhanced ability. Also lets us jump an additional 10 feet. So, I mean, we can already jump pretty far anyway, but if we want an extra 10 feet, we can grab it. I like Inspiring Smite if you don't need to use Peerless Athlete, because you could do something and then that's going to give temporary hit points to some of your allies.
The Peerless Athlete is totally something that you can set up before, the fight if you're going into one of these performances, if you will. And that extra jump, the advantage, it's not a concentration effect like the enhanced ability. It's just going to happen for that 10 minutes. So it is super awesome, super useful, in these scenarios, as well as, throughout regular combat and that kind of stuff as well. But we're going to take it, as we said, to 4 levels, and we're going to take Grappler for our next feat.
And that is just going to make us better at grappling. We can stop them, keep them from moving. We can get advantage on our attacks against them once we have them grabbed. So now we're going to go back to Bard for 2 levels, which what we're actually looking for is at 6th level in Bard, so we can get magical secrets. We're going to get some other cool things, but for the build, the thing that matters is magical secrets we're going to take Enlarge. So, you know what? We were the tiniest wrestler, not anymore, as we kind of bulk up. And then also we're going to have access to the Zephyr Strike. Now you can't do any of these spells together. They're all concentration. Zephyr Strike is cool because you avoid attacks of opportunity when you have it on. It gives you extra movement, and then you can end it to do additional damage. So, you might use that to get into the fight, start whooping on your opponent, and then maybe you'll Hulk out later and grow after you've ended that.
So we don't have a super high con. We're not proficient in Constitution saving throws. So this character does have a little bit of a deficit, with being able to keep those concentration things going. But he's going to have a decent number of spells. And, as we keep going, we're going to get more. So this is going to allow you to just change up your tactic and your battlefield between enhanced abilities, Enlarge, Zephyr Strike. So this guy's got a lot of tricks underneath their belt.
Right, and those are just the ones we've mentioned, right?
So far.
Now we're going to go back to Paladin, 4 more levels. This is going to give us our extra attack, our aura protection. So that's going to help us with with those concentration saving throws. We're also going to get the Aura of Alacrity. I don't know, probably butchering the shit out of that word.
Aura of Alacrity, Dave?
Yeah, which is going to... That's going to make us faster, make our allies faster. So for a little guy, we get around pretty quick.
Yeah, that 10 foot of speed, is awesome. I'm currently playing an Oath of Glory Paladin, and I'm waiting for that because I've got Barbarian levels on top of Paladin. So, I'm looking to see that extra speed bump.
So our 4th level is also going to give our ASI, our stat bump, and we're going to just put that in strength. Now our little guy has a whopping 18 strength.
Rawr. So from here, we're going to take 2 more levels of Bard. This is going to get us to, basically be, an 8-8 level split. So from that, we're going to wind up looking for freedom of movement. This is going to be super helpful for us because, it means we can grapple, but other people can't hold on to us. So we get to win here. And then for, that next level of Bard, we're going to get a stat bump, and we're going to max out our strength to go up to a whopping 20. So this little frog is quite the Hulk.
Yeah, we grapple you. You don't grapple us.
Rah!
I'm loving it. So from here, we have 4 more levels, and you may not have seen this coming, but we're going all sorcerer all the way. That's going to give us access to wild magic and tides of chaos, so we have another way of getting advantage. And I feel like this might be super useful if we have to make those concentration saving throws. That'd be a good place for it. But we're also going to get access to sorcery points. And what we're looking for here is meta magics, and that is extend and quicken. So bonus action, boom, enlarge, whatever we want to do, enhance ability. We get it off really fast. Or we can also use extend, which is going to double the duration of our spells so they last even longer. Definitely going to make it through a combat. And then at the very end, we're going to get another ASI.
We bump up our charisma. That's going to bump up all of our saves. That's going to make all of our charisma-based skill checks that much better. And, it's going to wind up making us just, that much more charismatic on the arena floor.
So now the question is, this is the part of the video where we get to ask, how are you going to use this as the dungeon master? How would you make this NPC? What would they do in your game?
So, if you're going to take this from, the ridiculous angle, then you've got to have a place for him to perform. And, you might wind up having characters that are already engaging, in the arena-esque combat of gladiatorial games and wrestling matches. So you would want to cultivate the environment that this kind of character could shine. And therefore, this is the culmination. This is the person that, as opposed to the hulking ogre that you would expect stomping their way across the arena as the final finale. No, you totally bring out this 2.5 foot tall Grung who just, kind of like scurries across the arena floor and then hops way up into the air, landing upon the ropes, giving, flips and bows and what have you, as, he totally does the, swing to the ear and swing to the ear, trying to get the crowd into it. They know who this guy is. But if your party hasn't done the research, you might not have any clue who this amazing itty-bitty teeny-tiny wrestler is. So, this is the culmination of side quests.
I would be torn between introducing that character as someone they're going to fight or as someone who's going to be fighting a much larger opponent, like an ogre or a hill giant, in the arena. If you go with the one route, my thought is the players are there gambling and setting wages and are like, they can gamble on the ogre, or they can gamble on this Grung, right? And then the fight starts. And hopefully, as the GM, you kind of want them to gamble on the ogre. But the fight starts, and then this Grung is just clinging to the ogre's back, is hanging from him. The ogre is trying to shake him off. He can't. He gets him off, and he lands on his feet. He bounces right back. Boom, he's back on his back again. He's on his face. He's torturing and then tormenting him.
Totally see, him digging his heels into, the ogre's neck while pulling on his ears.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work, but totally does. And you see the ogre, drop to his knees in pain. Be hysterical.
He does that for a while, but then all of a sudden, then he grows to monstrous proportions or medium, as the case may be, and gets even bigger to tackle the ogre as a much bigger character and just out wrestles him and makes him submit or something like that. I think it would be kind of fun. Definitely this is like a character to me that you would introduce within, the confines of civilization, and whether they're pit fighting, arena fighting, some kind of entertainment. I think that would be a fun way to do it. I wouldn't really want to take this character out of that environment because I think it will lose something.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, the skill set that is there is designed for, the crowd interaction, is designed, to be able to, read their opponent. And it's, while it's incredibly powerful looking at the character sheet, with all of those levels, all of that spell access, it's potent. I mean, it's a 20th level character.
Yeah.
But when you look at, what it has created, it's one of these things that it's designed for one-on-one, combat to shine. And that's what this character can do.
And remember to keep in mind, it's a Grung. If you're wrestling it, you're touching it. If you're touching it, you're making saving throws every round to see if you get poisoned or not. You're going to end up, if at some point you're going to fail, you're going to end up with a poison condition. So not only does the Grung have all these ways to get advantages and bonuses to their athletics check, you now have disadvantage.
Yeah, and eventually those dice rolls are going to go in the Grung's favor, which is why this dude is so successful. And, you know, like, you could take this character in so many different ways. As hilarious as all of this is, like, as with almost every character build we do, it's just fun, it's thematic, and I would totally play this character at a moment's notice. So if you happen to like, this and other character builds that we've done, why not check out the Deadshot Archer character build guide right here.
When we aren't making videos, you can find us off creating 5e content for players and DMs alike every month over on Patreon.
We do so much more than that. We've got monthly fan games, weekly live chats with our patrons, monthly giveaways that our patrons are automatically entered in, and more.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.